This is Josh White with JW Math Tutoring. In today's video, I'm going to go through Bluebook PSAT 10 Practice Test Number 2 Module 1. So let's go ahead and take a look.
But life is a dream the calculus could never predict.
Before I begin going through these problems from this Bluebook PSAT Grade 10 Practice Test Number 2 Module 1, I just want to mention a few things. First, if you like this video, of course, please do give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and sign up for notifications. Second, this may run past the allotted 35 minutes for this module because on some problems there may be multiple methods to solve the problem that I'm going to demonstrate, including using Desmos. So just be aware of that. And third, check out the videos for the other modules from the same practice test. So the two versions of Module 2. You have Module 2A, the easier second module, and Module 2B, the harder second module, once both of those have been posted. Otherwise, let's go ahead and get started here with question number 1. So this is a very basic question that's just telling you have two different things here, vitamin D and calcium, that are adding up to 150 grams. One of them is 50. Okay, how much does the other one have to be? Well, it's just, x plus 50 equals 150. The other one, specifically the calcium, has to have a mass of 100 grams. So correct answer is just letter C. All right, next we have a basic equation, and they don't ask for the value of x, they ask for the value of 6x minus 1. So you could try to manipulate the left side of this to make it equal 6x minus 1. But I think it's just quicker and easier to go ahead and solve the equation for x and then just multiply it by 6 and subtract 1. So if we do that, we're just going to minus 3 on both sides and then divide by 2 on both sides, get x equals 3. So 6 times 3 minus 1, 18 minus 1 is 17. And that's our correct answer. That's what we would put in. Now, I do want to show you that you can do this in Desmos. And if you're going to do a problem like this in Desmos where it doesn't ask for x, but it asks for some expression which has x in it, the quickest way is to solve this using regression. The reason being, now that I see, x is 3, I can just type 6x1 minus 1 and get my answer. I don't have to, if I had solved it the traditional way by typing like 2x plus 3 equals 9 and then looked for the vertical line, then I would have had to type in, 6 parentheses 3 minus 1. But here you can just carry the, the 3 value across. I mean, I guess in this case it's not really that much time, but in some other instances it could save time, or it could be more, basically more exact. All right, next up, question number 3, a basic probability question here. What's the probability of selecting a gemstone that is of the color Y? Well, for probability, it's the number of favorable outcomes, which in this case is the number of color Y gemstones, which is 3. And in the denominator, we put the total number of outcomes, which is the 157, because that's how many total gemstones there are. Therefore, the correct answer is letter A, and we can move on to the next question. All right, number 4, what is the y-intercept of this graph? So if you wanted to solve this by hand, of course, you could, first of all, you could plug in 0 for x, and then notice you get y equals 81. So correct answer is going to be letter A. Or if you notice this is in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, well, you just recognize right away b is 81 and just get your answer that way. Or third method, of course, you could go to Desmos. You could graph out the line. And now, of course, we got to zoom out a little ways and look for, there it is. There's the intercept, 0, 81, and you could just figure it out like that. So any of those methods are all fine. Next, we have a scatter plot here with some points, and it wants to know what is the most appropriate linear model for this relationship. Okay, first of all, this question can actually be solved very quickly and very easily because of the way the answer choices are set up. Most questions are not set up like this. And that is, if you notice, a best fit line, a linear model between these points would look something like this, and it would have a slope that is positive. That eliminates answer choice A, which has a negative slope. Answer choice B, which has a negative slope. Answer choice C, negative slope. So it has to be D by process of elimination. You don't actually, even have to bother solving it, solving for the slope or the y-intercept value. However, what I'm going to do is still show you how to do that in Desmos if you wanted to confirm that. So I'm going to pick 2 points here, and we're going to do linear regression. So it looks like this point, first point here, 1, 3. And then we've also got a point over here on 5, 6. So now you can either click the button. So notice it doesn't match exactly. Like the y-intercept is pretty close. It's 2.25 versus 2.2. But the slope is a little off. It's 0.75 versus 0.9. So it doesn't match up entirely. However, it's close enough, and notice again, all the other answer choices have negative values, and this one has a positive value. So that has to be the correct answer. All right, next up, question 6. This is a basic unit conversion question. We have 77 rods, and we're going to convert this to yards. They give us the conversion factor. 1 rod, this will go on the bottom, is equal to 5.5 yards. That goes on top because we want our final answer to be yards. Notice that's right here, and we want the rods to cancel out. So for this question, it's just 77 times 5. That works out to 423.5. But let's just confirm in Desmos that's what the value is. Yep, 423.5. So that's your answer that you would type in. Next, we have a graph of a line. This is question number 7. It's parallel to, this is line J. You have another line which is parallel to this line. What's the slope of this other line? Well, because the lines are parallel, their slopes will be the same. So we just have to figure out the slope of this line. Now, the quickest way, fastest way, is to just count it. Notice you go up 1, 2, 3, 4. And you go to the right 1. So the slope is going to be positive 4 over positive 1, or just 4. But you could also, of course, go to Desmos. And again, you could make the table. You could type in the 2 points, 0, 5. And it looks like the other one is 1, 9. And then you could click linear regression, or you could type out I'll just show you how to type it out just for practice. So notice right here we get y equals 4x plus 5. Okay, so the slope is 4. Alternately, you could do this. And notice here m is 4. And, that's going to be our answer because the parallel lines have the same slope. Next up, question number 8. Here we have a single linear inequality with some shading. And it wants to know which of these represents basically the solutions to this inequality. Basically, it's really asking, it's like, what's the inequality that gives this as the result? Okay? I'm just going to go straight to Desmos. I think it's so much quicker and easier to just do this in Desmos rather than like physically finding the test points and plugging them in and everything. Because first of all, we're going to be able to see if the lines have the correct slope or the correct y-intercept right away visually. So notice this one appears to match it pretty closely. Like it goes through 9 over here and it goes through 9 right here. And it looks like it goes through negative 6 here and it goes through negative 6 here. And the shading is on the upper left side. So I'm pretty sure the answer is A, but let's just confirm the others. So notice if I do this, no, this does not match it. It's the x-intercept has moved, or excuse me, the y-intercept has moved up. The x-intercept technically has moved left. So that's wrong. Okay, what about if I do this? So this appears to have kind of the same, general shape, but notice the intercept values don't match. Again, it's 9 and negative 6, whereas now it's 13.5 and negative 9. So that one's also wrong, which means this one is going to be wrong as well, because again, notice this one shifts it up. So it's the first answer. It's letter A. We can move on to the next problem. Okay, question 10. They give you the radius of a circle. They want to know what the area is. One thing first, if you don't remember the formula, you can click on reference up here in the corner, and then the area of a circle is right here, pi r squared. Let's close that for right now. I mean, it's something good to have memorized, but just in case you don't. So you can plug in here. And we're going to take 43 and we're going to square it. But first of all, I know by process of elimination it has to be d because 43 times 43 is not 43 over 2. It's also not 43, and it's also not 86. That's 43 times 2, not 43 squared. So it has to be d, but you can just go to Desmos and just confirm. 43 squared is 1849, and of course we also have the pi, so the correct answer for this one is just letter D. All right, next up, we have a question here where you have a formula, two variables in it. They want to know how much diesel is left in this gas tank when x, which is the number of miles, is equal to 300. So really, all you're doing here is just plugging in 300 for x, and that's it. So you can just simplify this, 300 over 30, that means the zeros cross out, and then 30 divided by 3 is just 10. 16 minus 10. Correct answer for this one is just letter B, 6. And that's it. And of course, you could do this calculation in Desmos. You could just go to Desmos and just type in 16 minus 300 divided by 30 and, get the same answer. All right, next up. Excuse me. You have a triangle. You're given two of its sides. Notice these two sides have the same length, i.e. they're equivalent. They're congruent. I guess really what I should say. And wants to know which statement is sufficient to prove it's equilateral. Well, for triangle to be equilateral, all three sides must have the same length. So AB and BC and AC must all equal 4680 millimeters. So the correct answer for this one is just going to be letter A. Equilateral triangle, all three sides the same, and it also, as a result, has all three angles the same, but that doesn't apply here. Next up, question number 12. This is interpretation of an exponential function. So here is your given function, and we are asked to basically figure out what this p of 8 is approximately equal to 3291 represents. Okay, so notice 8 is inside here, so t is equal to 8. So what does t represent? Blah, 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 number of years. So we need an answer that mentions, first of all, it has to mention something about 8 years. So when you look at A, blah, 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 it says the population 8 million. No, it doesn't mention 8 years anywhere. Okay, now next, in 1984, no, it doesn't mention anything about 8 years. And also notice, like, 1984 is the start, so 8 years after that is going to be 1992. So we could also look for, like, the year 1992 potentially as well, but that's wrong. Okay, C, 8 years after 1984. Okay, so that part's good so far. And the other value, the p of 8, the output is this. And what is the output measure? Well, it's the predicted population. So 32.91 million, that's the population. It looks like it's going to be answer choice C. But let's just check D. 32.91 years? No. We want 8 years, and we want the population to be 32.91. So yes, the correct answer for this one is going to be letter C. Next up, question number 13. What's cos A for this? So if you remember SOHCAHTOA, we have cosine, ca. So the cosine of A is equal to the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So the adjacent side will be the one down here, which is 41. The hypotenuse is the longest side across from the 90-degree angle. That's 42. So the correct answer for this is going to be letter B, 41 over 42. Next, question number 14. You have a line segment here being divided into 3 parts. Basically, so the whole thing is 115 centimeters. The first part is 47 centimeters. And then the other two remaining parts are equal. So this is like x and x. What is the length of one of the other two parts of equal length? Well, they're both the same. So really your equation here is like, x plus 47 equals 115. 2x plus 47 equals 115. 2x equals, let's look at my notes here, 68. X should equal 34. And just to confirm, let me just go to Desmos. I'm just going to type in x plus x, the equation, plus 47 equals 115. Let's zoom out. Where's the vertical line? It's right here at 34. Yep, that just confirms 34 is the correct answer. Next, here you have a data set with 5 masses, and it wants to know what is the mean of these. Well, we're just going to go straight to Desmos. We're not going to bother, trying to add these up by hand. We're just going to type mean and then put in the 5 values, with a comma. All right, so it looks like it comes out to 3630, and that's it. That's what we would type in as our answer. There is, just to show you the whole statement here, mean and then all 5 values. No other work to do for this problem. All right, how many real solutions does this given equation have? So, a couple different ways you could do this. Technically, you could calculate the discriminant, and you could do b squared minus 4ac. I don't think you need to do that on this problem, and you could see, is it like greater than 0, equals 0, less than 0? But you don't need to do that. That's too much work, it's too much time. The ways I would do this is I would first see if it factors, which it does. And notice it's going to factor as x minus and minus, because this number is positive and the b value is c is positive and b is negative. That means it's going to be minus minus, and the two factors of 27 that add up to negative 12 are negative 9 and negative 3. So now I can see there are two distinct real solutions. Basically, they're x equals 9 and x equals 3. So the correct answer is going to be letter A. Now, the other approach that I would recommend is just going to Desmos and graphing this. And basically, the real solutions are just the x-intercept values. So how many unique x-intercepts does this have? Well, 1, 2. So the correct answer for this is just letter A, 2, and that's it. All right, next up, we have a question which deals with a linear function. They give us the slope right here. They give us the point it goes through. So first, I'll just show you if you want to do this by hand. The way I would do this, the way I typically do this, is I go to slope-intercept form, and I plug in the point, and I plug in the slope, point for x and y, slope for m. I solve for b, and I get b equals 12. So now I know the slope is 2, which all of these lines have. I know that the b has to be 12, therefore the correct answer has to be letter C. Of course, you could also go to Desmos, and we could do this quite easily. We would only type one point in the table, then you have to type the regression statement. y1 tilde, and now for m I'm going to put 2, x1 plus b. It tells me right here b is 12, therefore this confirms the correct answer is letter C, 2x plus 12. All right, next. This is a density question. The basic formula for density is mass divided by volume. However, if you don't remember that, all you need to look at are the units of the respective things. Like mass is going to be grams, kilograms, like something like that. Volume is going to be cubic something, cubic centimeters, cubic inches, cubic meters, cubic whatever. And then density is going to be like one of those something per something per cubic something, really. So if you don't remember the formula, that's fine. You can just match up the units to see like what you have to divide or multiply. So right here it says, what is the density in grams per cubic centimeter? So that means I need to put grams on top, 168, and cubic centimeters on the bottom. So you just divide these now. 168 divided by 24. It's 7. Correct answer is letter A, and that's it. Don't need to do anything else for this problem. Next up, question number 19. Here they give you a description of a situation, and they want to know which of these exponential functions matches this, description. So, okay, first of all, there's 1,300 customers subscribed in January 2018. So that's like our starting point. That's our initial, number of customers. Okay, so they all are going to have 1,300 out front. All right, well, that part doesn't change. Okay, next. Number of customers, blah, 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 for each month was 7% greater than the number subscribed the previous month. We want the equation that's showing how many customers there are m months after the starting point, January 2018. Okay, so if you know how basic exponential functions work, like you have the a, the initial amount out front, and then inside the parentheses, it's really like 1 plus or minus r. And r is either your growth rate or your like decay or decline rate if something's getting smaller. In this case, because the number of subscribers is increasing, i.e. 7% greater, that means it's going to be plus. Like this number is going to be greater than 1 inside here. Okay, so first of all, a is out. It's totally wrong. And then the r is the actual growth rate. So in this case, that is the 7%. So it's 7%, but as a decimal, of course, that's 0.07. So it's just 1 plus 0.07, which just becomes 1.07. Therefore, the correct answer is going to be letter B right here. Just to show you, C would technically correspond to a 70% growth rate, or in other words, if the number of subscribers each month was 70% greater than the number, than the number from the previous month. So that's like how you would get 1.7. All right, next up, question number 20. What is the minimum value of this function? So, absolute quickest, easiest way to do this is to just rearrange it. So it's just p of x equals everything on the other side. And then just go to Desmos and graph this. Literally just type p of x equals x squared minus 57. Okay, let's zoom out. Where's the minimum value? It's right here at the vertex, 0, negative 57. Okay, first of all, notice 0 is not an answer choice, so obviously it's not that. It's going to be b. It's negative 57. But also, the minimum or maximum value of a function in questions that ask for that are always the y-coordinate, of the point. If a vertex, if it's a quadratic function, or if it's whatever, some other type of function, it's always the y-coordinate. If it wants the x-coordinate value at the minimum or maximum point, it will say, for what value of x does the function have a maximum or minimum? All right, next up, question number 21. So here we have another kind of percentage related question. It's actually similar to that exponential one that we just did. So basically what's going on here is you end up with this expression, 0.35x, and it wants to know this is what you get when you decrease x by what percentage. Okay? So basically, let's think about it like this. I start with x, I subtract something from it, and I end up with 0.35x. Okay? So this y right here, this is representing like the percent that I'm subtracting away from x to end up at the 0.35x. In other words, this is my answer really, this y. So if you rearrange this and like you move this over to the left, notice, and you add y to the right, you get y on the right equals 1x minus 0.35x. That simplifies to 0.65x. Okay? And 0.65 is equal to 65%. So the correct answer for this one is just going to be 65%. Now, here is how you could use picking numbers just to verify or confirm this. We go to Desmos, just delete this. I'm going to start with the number of 100, okay? Let's go with answer choice A. Let's say I decrease my starting value of x by 3.5% of 100. Okay, I get this number. Now, is that equal to 0.35? Basically what I'm looking for is these two things to be equal. So notice answer choice A is not equal, therefore it's the wrong answer. Okay, what if I check B? What if I make it 35%? Nope, still not equal. Okay, now what about for answer choice C if I make it 6.5%? No. What about if I check answer choice D? Yes. Notice, starting with a value, decreasing it by 65% of that value gives me a result which is equal to 35% or 0.35 times that value. So that's just an alternate approach you could take using picking numbers. All right, next up, we have one of the trickiest PSAT questions that's out there, and I'll explain why as we work through this. So this is basically a word problem. You're going to set up a system of equations. All right. Essentially, you have these two different alloys, and you know that together, the first piece and the second piece, you have make up a total of 50 grams. Okay. And you also know it's 50% silicon by mass. So one just little side calculation, it's 50 grams and 50% of it is silicon, which means that 25 grams of this are silicon. So the first equation is just the total mass of like the first alloy and the second alloy, and it's 50 grams. The second equation is going to be basically the mass of silicon from each. So the first one is 30% silicon, so that means 0.30 times its mass will give me the amount of silicon. And the second one is 80%. Therefore, it's going to be 0.80 times y. And that's going to add up and equal the 25 grams of silicon. So now that I have this system of equations, I'm just going to go straight to Desmos to solve this. There's no reason to bother solving this out by hand. So I can just type in this. All right, and I'm looking for the intersection of these two lines. All right, there it is. That's my solution point right here. Okay, so it's 30/20. That means I use 30 grams of the first one and 20 grams of the second one. So, x equals 30, y equals 20. A lot of people now would go and would select answer choice C as the correct answer because they see, oh, the second piece in the alloy is 20 grams. But that's not the correct answer. Like, that's the trick. That's why this is one of the trickiest, PSAT practice questions out there. And the reason is because they don't want the overall mass of the second piece. They want to know the mass of the silicon only in the second piece. You have to take the 20 grams and you have to multiply it by 80%. Right here, second piece, 80% silicon by mass. Therefore, the correct answer is actually 16. It is not 20. So you set up the system of equations, you find the solution, the intersection point, and then you have to take the value from that, the y coordinate, and you must remember to multiply it by 0.80 or find 80% of it to get the amount of silicon in the second piece. It's just overall total mass. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed this video going through Bluebook PSAT Grade 10 Practice Test Number 2, Module 1. If you did, please do give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and sign up for notifications. If you have any alternate solution methods or comments or anything else, please leave them in the comments section below. Also, check out the video solutions to this same test for Module 2A, the easier second module, and Module 2B, the harder second module. And finally, if you're looking to improve your knowledge of Desmos, Please check out my Ultimate Desmos Guide to Digital SAT Math. It's over 6 hours of tips and tricks and instruction and 65 practice problems to help you ace both the digital PSAT and SAT math sections.